Hello everyone, and welcome to the second installment of the How to Hobby X webinars. We will be hosting these webinars on a regular basis leading up to the 2021 event. My name is Annelie Reynolds, and I'm the show director for Hobby X. As you might know by now, Hobby X has found a new home. The event will take place from the 29th of April to the 2nd of May 2021 at the Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit and International Convention Center. If you want to exhibit at the event, bookings are open and you're welcome to leave your details in the chat box and we will get back to you. Today, we have such a fun and creative session planned and just in time for Christmas gift planning. We are amazed at the number of viewers this morning, and we want to thank you for taking the time today to participate. Today's webinar might be a little longer than the planned hour, as the projects that Trudy Ayres from Strawberry Patch showed us when we planned this session are all so beautiful, we couldn't just decide on two. So she will be guiding you through 3 projects this morning. I'll leave it to Trudy to explain the gift ideas in a moment. If you have questions for Trudy during the presentation, please pop these in the Q&A box, and if there is time, she'll answer these after a session. If there is no time, she will get back to you with answers. Before I hand over to Trudy, just some background info on this incredibly talented lady. Trudy started her business when her youngest was very small, nearly 30 years ago. Her business has been an Annie Sloan stockist for the past 8 years, and this is how she became more involved in the craft world. She has always painted, mainly watercolors, but she's also tried every new craft that came to the market. Crafting has been a hobby since childhood, and this was something that offered an escape to her happy place. And now, the reason you registered for this webinar, I introduce to you Trudy Ayres.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to be with you this morning. I'm very excited, and like Annelie just said, this is my happy place. So what we're going to do this morning is 3 projects. So we are going to go quite at a fast pace, but don't panic about it. The video will be available for you to see afterwards. And when you've gathered all your goodies that you need to do it, go back to the video and do it at your own pace. Today, I hope you've all got a nice cup of coffee or tea and settle in, and let's do these 3 projects. Right, the first project that we are going to do today is a painted bottle. We all have bottles at home, and perhaps for a Christmas present, you can paint it and put a lovely water slide on it. I'm going to show you today a pantry label that you can put on a bottle, like sugar, tea, coffee, or whatever. But we also do water slides for Christmas, like the lovely cookies on the bottle that you are looking at now. Then the second project that we are going to do is little wooden houses from offcut wood. You know, if your husband put up a new roof, you might have wood lying around on your patio or somewhere. Cut that and make little houses. They are beautiful and such a beautiful present for Christmas. And then the third one is 4 little mini canvases that you can make in your own time for that loved one that needs this little special present this morning. So there you are, 4 projects. Sit back, enjoy, and let's start. Okay. Right. First project is a glass bottle. So I love this clip top jars because they seal very nicely. You can put your coffee, tea, or whatever in there, and they sealed and they keep whatever fragrances you want to keep inside, you keep inside. Okay, now a bottle like this, you need, if you want to paint it, you need to disassemble it. So all of these little metal parts, you just need to take out, and it's easy, even I can do it, and put that aside. And then you've got your bottle disassembled, and here I've got one. There you are. See, the lid is loose, and there's the glass bottle. We are going to paint it today with chalk paint. And for the chalk paint to adhere to the glass, because glass is very shiny and smooth, the paint doesn't grab hold of glass. What we do is we sand it a little bit. And here's the sanding paper that we are using. It's a 60 grit. And you need to take off all the shiny little bits of the bottle. Sorry for the noise, but we do need to sand it thoroughly. Okay, so there you are. We've sanded the bottle and we also sanded the lid. And what you're now going to do is you are going to paint this. For this, you need a white. I'm using Annie Sloan chalk paint, but you can use any chalk paint or paint that you've got available. This is a beautiful paint and it's nice and thick. And all you need to do is take a brush and you paint the bottle. Right. As you can see, it will definitely, let me see if you can see, can you see it's still you can see the bottle underneath it. So you will have to give it at least 2 coats. Okay, so paint your first coat and let it dry. It dries very quickly. Okay, put it somewhere in the wind or in the sun, and with 10-15 minutes it will be dry, and then you give it a second coat. Same, you can even thin down your paint a little bit when you do the second coat, and set it aside to dry. Just going to get rid of all my paint and paint brushes. And there you are. I've prepared one for you, already painted and dry. Now, chalk paint, if you haven't sealed it, it's not permanent. So if I want to, I can still wash off all this paint off this bottle, but we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do to make it permanent is we're going to seal it. And what I use is the chalk paint lacquer, which is just a water-based sealant. I've decanted it in a little pot for myself, just to make everything easier. So what you do is you take your sealer and you paint this sealer over the whole bottle and the lid. Just make sure that it is not runny. I call it runs. You know when you paint something too thick and it dribbles down the bottle, I call it runs. It's not nice. You don't want that. So just seal the whole bottle nicely and thoroughly and put it aside to dry. It will take, I think, about between 15 minutes and half an hour to dry, especially if you put it in the sun. It will dry quicker, but make sure that it's totally, completely dry and that you've got no runs going down the bottle. This is a beautiful water-based sealer, and on this you can do your wax techniques, or what we are going to do today is we are going to do a water slide transfer on it. And that's a very interesting thing. I love water slides because they can make a very simple project or a simple technique look beautiful. It will look like you've spent hours on it. Okay, right. So here we've got our bottle. It's dried, it's sealed, and it's ready to go. Right, let's talk a little bit about water slides. Water slides is a printed image. It's a printed image that you cut out and use on any surface that is smooth and ready for your water slide. What it doesn't work on, and I must tell you, that this will not work on a round ball. It will only work on a flat surface. Okay. you might look at this and think something is wrong. What we do with our water slides is we print it in a mirror image, upside down, okay? And there's a reason for it. Over the years, I've worked with many water slide products, and what I found that if you do put it not upside down, the right way around, like this Christmas one, you have to slide the printed image off the backing paper. And that makes it just causes a lot of problems. So what we've now decided is to print it in a mirror image, and then you put your printed image face down onto your bottle. Okay, so here you've got it. And what I suggest is you cut out your water slide. I'm just going to do the coffee one today. Right, cut it out and cut it as close to the design as you can get it. We don't want all the excess, is that the right word, around the image, because that's also going to just cause a lot of problems for you. So there you've got it, an upside down image of coffee. And for this now, I'm going to need water. Let me just clear my table a little bit. And here's our water. What you do is, that's why it's called water slide. You put it into the water. And can you see what happens to it? It immediately curls up, which is normal. It should. And then what I do is I take it out immediately. As soon as this label is soaked, I just put it down there and leave it while I prepare my bottle. I'm now going to put a layer of sealer over my bottle and then put the water slide on top of that. And I always stabilize my bottle a little bit with a cloth. Otherwise, it runs around and wiggles and do all sorts of things. So what you do now is, again, the same sealer that you've used to seal the bottle. You take a very thin layer of sealer and you paint it over your bottle. Can you see I'm not doing a very thick one, because I don't want it, because it's going to cause a lot of bubbles. Okay, so there you are. Can you see that the water slide is now sliding around on the backing paper? Can you see it? Let's see if oops, yes, there it is. So what I want you to do is put this face down onto the bottle. Smooth it out with your fingers. And then I like to work with a little bit of water on my hand. Just wet it a little bit. And can you see? There you are. We're sliding off the backing paper. And there you've got your transfer on your bottle. So I always work with a wet hand. See, I've got lots of water on my hand and I smooth it out and make sure, there you are, that there's no bubbles or folds or a lot of sealer at the back. Fantastic. And then you have to cover it with another layer of sealer. Your bottle is already sealed, so you don't need to do the whole bottle. You can just do the area where you've got your water slide on. And what you do is you work from the inside to the outside like that. Otherwise, you might lift your label, and you don't want to do that. So there you are. We've covered it with sealer. And all you need to do now is just let it dry. And there's your bottle. It's finished. Isn't it wonderful? Let me show you a finished one. Yeah, this one is the sugar that goes with the coffee. And there's the bottle. The little metal parts are put back. And we've also done a little round water slide transfer at the top. Just to, my grandmother always said, the love is in the detail. And this is the love in the detail. There you are. Bottles for your pantry and makes the most beautiful Christmas presents. Fantastic. There you are. That was an easy one. Right. Let me clean up here, and then we can go to our second one. I've got sealer all over my hands, but that's not a problem. Right. Second project is offcut wood. That I've got a man in my life that cuts all these wood, and he's a very handy husband to have. So there you are. We are doing houses, offcut wood, paint, and a little bit of stencils, and you will not believe how quickly and how easily it is to make these presents. I'm just going to paint one of these, and again, we are using chalk paint. This one is the old white color. And we also, for the roof part, we're going to use a black acrylic. And I'll tell you why I switch from chalk paint to black acrylic as I get to that stage. So again, we need a brush. Got a brush, and we've got our chalk paint. So it's so easy to paint it. Because chalk paint is so nice and thick, it covers beautifully. But have a look at your wood, and if it's got, this is the perfect example. If it's got a knot like that in, I really think you have to do 2 coats, because the knot always, I don't know, it needs the second coat. So paint your wood, and then there's something I want to show you, and you must be very careful, because the roof part, we want it black, so we don't really want to get some of the white paint on it. And the correct way to paint to an edge is not to do, I hope you don't paint from the edge to the inside, because what you'll get is that. What the best way to paint a little block like this is, and to ensure that no paint will run off on that side, is paint from the middle to the edge of the wood. And can you see that it's not running? So you cover the whole house, all 3 of them, with white paint. Let it dry, and then have a look and see if that knot is still coming through. If it is, give it a second coat. It's always better to just put a little bit more effort in it, and it will be a perfect end result. Okay, so now you paint it and you let it dry. And now I've got one for you that I've already painted on all the sides. And what we're now going to do is paint the roof. Chalk paint, like I said in the first project, you have to seal it with a sealer. Otherwise, it's not permanent. But what I found in my experience is that the black and the white chalk paint together on this house just doesn't work, because you have to seal it. And the moment you go with the sealant, you go over from the white to the black and back again, it bleeds, the black bleeds. So that was a big frustration of mine. So what I suggest you do is paint the roof of the house with acrylic paint. I use this, but you can use any acrylic paint, really. It doesn't matter, because you know what? Acrylic, when it's dry, it's fixed. You can paint over it, you can wash it, you can do whatever is necessary. Just, it doesn't bleed, and you don't need that black marks. It makes an ugly gray mark on your white house. So we pick it up, a nice, let me talk about what I'm using here as a palette. I use paper plates to decant all my paint on, and it's cheap, it's easy, and I don't need to wash it. I can just throw it away when I'm finished with it. So that's why I'm a lazy crafter. I always look for the shortcut. So paint your roof going from the inside to the outside. You still want to concentrate on not getting the black paint over the edge. You want a nice sharp edge on your roof. So again, with a flat brush, You brush from the inside to the edge, and you will not have any dribbles of paint. There you are. And I will do exactly the same on the other side. To save time, I've already done that for you. There you are. A white house with a black roof. Now, what you must do here is you must seal it. Because we're going to stencil on this house, and I would really suggest that you don't stencil on any surface, especially if you've painted with a chalk paint, unless you've sealed it. Why? If it's sealed and you make a boo-boo with the stencil, you can wipe it off and do something about it. Because if you stencil on raw chalk paint, you can't correct yourself. You will have to repaint the whole thing. So this is a painted one, and it must be sealed. I think this is the sealed one. Let me feel. This is not sealed. So we've got two here. I don't know if you can see these little brown marks coming through the wood. That's the tannins in the wood that bleeds through chalk paint. I like it, especially on a house. It gives it more character. But if you hate it and you can't live with it, seal this with a chalk paint lacquer and then paint over the sealant again, and that will seal in the tannins and the oil in the wood. Okay, so what we're now going to do is all three houses, we are just going to seal it. And you seal the top as well. It's not necessary. The acrylic paint is really a permanent fixture now, but you know, I like doing it. I love applying sealer because look just how quick and easy it goes on. Okay, so if you've sealed it, put it aside, it must dry. Okay, and drying time on the sealant is, if you put it outside in the sun, 15 minutes. If there's no sun like today, put it somewhere where there's a light breeze going over it, and it will dry in, say, half an hour or so. Okay, so here we've got house number one, all painted and sealed. And now we're going to do stencils. And there's a new stencil that I want to show you this morning, which is such a blessing because it gives you beautiful, fine detail. I want to get some of my samples here. This is the stencils we're going to use on our houses, but I just want to show you. Hope you can see it. We do stencils in, we've got hundreds of different designs. This is a beautiful protea. And then here we've got a small little snail. Isn't he beautiful? It looks like a man. And here's one of cups. Can you see it? Must I lift it a little bit higher? Can you see the fine detail in it? It's beautiful. And there's a certain way to do silkscreen stencils. And I want to show you quickly the correct way of doing it. I'm just going to demonstrate to you on a piece of paper, but it can go onto any smooth surface. Please, it will not take on a roughly plastered or painted surface. It needs to be smooth at the back. And what a silkscreen stencil is a fine mesh. And there where the white, you can see the white there, the design of the stencil. That's where the mesh is open and the paint will go through there. And where it's blue, it's masked off. The paint won't go through there. So, okay, let's show you quickly. I love stenciling with, again, my acrylic paint. I'm just going to decant more in my paper plate palette. There you are. And then what we need to do is we need to push the paint through the white areas so that we get the design on the paper. And if you were starting off with it, why don't you just to keep the stencil in place, just stick it down with a little bit of masking tape. And then what we use is either a credit card. your husband, old Mr. Gold, or a glue spreader. One of these two things will be exactly what you need. You use the sharp edge of the credit card or the glue spreader to push the paint through. So let me just show you. You pick up some paint. You've got it in a little ball of paint on the back of your glue spreader, and then you put it down and don't push it flat. Keep it at a 45-degree angle, and you push the paint through. In my experience, if you do it on paint or wood or anything that is smooth at the back, once over is enough. You don't need to do it twice. On fabric, I find that I have to go twice. So let me just quickly show you. There's the image. And there's no stencil that you can get this detail with. So isn't that wonderful? Let's just take off, oops. And there you are. It's not important to go either left to right, right to left, up or down, as long as you just keep on going over a new section of the stencil and not go over and over again on the same one, because that will push too much paint through your stencil and it will bleed. The first one that I want to do on our little houses is on two of them. I've got a beautiful stencil of a tree, and I just love the leaves falling off, but it's too big for any one of them. But then I thought, why not put it over two of the houses? It will look like a tree growing in front. So I just keep the two houses together, but what you can do is, if you're scared that it will move, just put a little bit of masking tape there, and then your stencil on it. Keep the stencil in place with a little bit of masking tape. And then again, we've still got our paint here. I'm going to pick up some paint and go over the stencil. I have to cover all the white parts of the stencil. And here we can go top to bottom, because you know, here there's the edge between the two blocks, and we'll see what the stencil does now. But please don't be worried. It does not need to be perfect. It's a handmade, hand-painted project, this, and you want to show your people that you've done it yourself and you've done it by hand. Can you see I'm just covering and making sure that I've got all the white covered? Yes, I think it's covered. And then you lift it. And there's the tree. Isn't it cute? I absolutely love it. Right. But now a house needs windows and doors. And what we do is we make a stencil with quite a nice selection of doors, windows. We've added a street lamp and a little bicycle and everything that you need. Just want to move this out a little bit because it's wet and it will smudge. So what you do is, when you get your stencil, is cut it out. Cut all the small windows and the doors, etc., into separate stencils. Because can you imagine if you have to put this A4 on top of that already wet stencil part, it will smudge terribly. So that is what I suggest. Cut it out and use it separately. We have now cut another one out, so I've got a big selection of doors and windows, etc. And what I want to do is start stenciling. And this is now absolutely to your personal taste. You put the doors and the windows wherever you want it. Okay, so but let me show you how you do it. I always like two windows in the top of the, in that, near the roof. Ladies, don't move it. I just think I've just moved it. It smudged a little bit, yes, because I was talking and not concentrating. Okay, so, and one here. hold on to that stencil. Don't forget that you're holding on to something that can smudge and talk too much like I do. There you are. And you can use it a few times. You don't need to wash it after each and every print. The only thing with a stencil that you've already used, you can't see where you've been, and there is a boo-boo. So don't do that. Okay, so we go on and stencil all of them. I'm just going to take this off and move that out. What I do, and I love to put the detail on the sides as well. So what I do is take a new stencil and put it down and stencil the little windows in there. Ah, lovely. And if I want to put a door in there, I can do that because I've got lots of stencils. Okay, and while I was working, every stencil that I've used, all these small little stencils, what I've done is as I take it off here, it goes to my water bath. We put it in a water bath immediately, because if you leave that stencil for even 10 minutes out of the water, the paint will clog all the openings of your mesh and you will never be able to use that stencil again. So use it, dunk it into water, and when you've finished, you go to your basin, preferably a stainless steel basin, and wash it with a little piece of sponge and nice dishwashing liquid. It will clean it perfectly. So there you are, still wet, but this is what you do with a house. And I do want to show you what it looks like when it's finished. Shall I show them quickly? Okay, so here's the 3 houses that I've done before. There you are. Can you see it? And I'm going to lift it and turn it around. There you are. Okay, let me lift it a little bit. There you are. Can you see? We've put a little bicycle in there. We've got the street lamp in there. But that's what I like to do. It doesn't say that you must do exactly the same, but this is beautiful. And of course, you don't only need to do it in black and white. Choose whatever colors you want to use and we'll go with whoever you're going to give it to as a present, or what goes. You can make beautiful Christmas houses, red and green. It will look fantastic. Okay, there you are. We are finished with project number 2. Now I need to clean up a little bit and move a lot of other stuff into my work field here. Right, project number 3. I can't believe it, we're 2/3 through it already. As you can see on the screen, there's 4 little canvases. And the canvas is made with a mixed media technique. I absolutely love it. I love mixed media because it gives you the freedom to do whatever you want. It's a little bit of a mind shift to make if you've done just one layer crafts, but mixed media is a technique where you layer different kinds of material, paper, stencils, wood. You can basically do what you want, and that's what I like. I like the freedom of just doing whatever I will. But what I'm going to show you today is, are we just going to work on the green one today, because it will take too long to do all 4, but perhaps you'll join me another day and we'll do all 4 of them. So here's the one that we're going to do, but they're all made exactly in the same way. Okay, so what you'd start off with is, oh, sorry for the noise. We start off with a plain wooden canvas. And I'm just going to get all my stuff together here. It's not always necessary to paint the canvas white, but I like painting it white because we are going to decoupage on top of this canvas. And if the paper that you decoupage is rather see-through, the color of the canvas is going to go through the paper and you're going to have a more muddled look than what a white background will give you. You can, of course, use serviette podge on this as well, serviette decoupage, and then you must paint it white, because if you don't paint it, the background color will be brown, and that's not what we want. Okay, so with your nice, and this, I really don't think it's a second layer is necessary. You paint it, put it outside, all four of them, let it dry. Remember, you must paint the edges as well. Okay, I'm not a stickler for that little detail. Yeah. So easy to paint, nice thick paint, and it dries quickly. Okay. There you are. I've cheated and I've gone ahead and made and painted one that's already dry. There you are. Painted with white chalk paint. Not necessary to give it a second layer or to seal it. Because what we are now going to do is we are now going to decoupage. It's basically decoupage, although I'm not going to use much paper on this background. And I call it vintage paper, and I want to show you why I call it vintage paper. Let me just get my book. Charity shops is the most wonderful source of paper if you ever want it. They have hundreds of books there that nobody uses, and they don't know what to do. So go to the charity shops and see what you can get there. I paid 10 Rand for this book. It's Advanced Algebra and Calculus. It was printed in 59, and I use the images in this book for all my backgrounds of certain mixed media projects. So what I do is I tear out one or two. I think for 4 of them, you're going to need quite a few pages, but we're just going to do one. And then what you do is you tear the paper into shapes and strips. And I want that. I love that. And I take away the straight edge of the paper and tear it into different shapes. What we're going to do here is we're going to take this paper and modge it on it to give us our first layer of background. And that's why I said mixed media is something that you have to sort of let go a little bit. It's layer on layer, and sometimes you think, why? Now you're painting all over my first layer, but it gives you that depth. It gives you that detail, and it just goes, wow. So don't panic. Follow, just trust the process, I always say. So there you are. I've got lots of pieces here somewhere. And I want to show you what I podge with. Sorry, let me just get it out. I do it with an acrylic gel medium. It just works better for me. And we all have our little quirky things that we use and do, but with years of experience, I'm telling you, this is the best product. Mod Podge is not a good product. Why? Because you can't write with a pen onto Mod Podge when it's dry. With this one, when it's dry, you can write and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what we want to do in mixed media. We want to go to town and try every technique that's in the book. Okay, so I like the Dala one, but there's a lot of other gel mediums that's also very good. Okay, so for today, we're using the Dala. And you will see, perhaps if I show it to this camera here, it's quite a thick, whitish liquid. It's not a liquid, it's more a paste. It's a gel, yes. So let me get my clean. And now, ladies, this is where the perfectionist out there is going to have a few problems. So don't stress, just let go and paint. what I do is I cover the pieces or the part of the canvas that I want to stick my paper on. First with gel medium, then you put it on. And if it's upside down or to the side, doesn't matter. You are working on your first layer. And can you see? I just push it over onto the side of the canvas with my nicely covered brush with gel medium. So there you are. And overlap it and push it down and cover it with a nice layer of gel medium. Gel medium is a wonderful product. I use it. It's like a glue. You can glue stuff, and we are going to glue our hearts on with gel medium, and it takes a while to dry. What you must do is, I love it, the sun outside of my little space where I work. I run out, put it in the sun, go on with the second one, and so on and so on. And there's something that I don't like, and I'll just tear it off and go on. So this is what you do. You cover the sides and the top of the canvas, and don't be too worried if there's a little bit of white sticking out somewhere. It's not the end of the world. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you one we've done beforehand. There you are. Can you see? I've switched it around. It's upside down there. Whichever way you look at it, it's fine. It doesn't matter. It's there for you to enjoy. And can you see there's little bits of white showing through there, and I'm happy with this. And then the next step. What we want to do is, the second layer that we're going to put here is just soften the edges of these torn paper, just to blend it in a little bit. And it's now here that I use my fingers. I'm just going to put a little bit of paint in the lid like that. And sorry for my apologies to my nail lady, but there we go. I just use my finger and I soften. It's chalk paint, don't worry. You're not going to need to seal it because we're going to put gel medium over it, which is also a sealant. And I soften and blend the edges in all over at the top. And here, can you see there? I left a little bit of the white. So I'm going over it with another layer of paint. On this side, I hope you can see it. Over the white, I'm just going to blend it in so that it doesn't look too straight. So that's why you tear the paper, to give it that soft edge. And on top of that, you blend in a little bit of the white paint into your canvas to give it another layer. I hope you can see, because that's how it works for this one. Take your finger, or if you hate working with your fingers, a brush, but the brush must be fairly dry. Okay, you need to blend, and you can't blend with a wet brush because that is going to put the paint all over it. We still want to see our background coming through. Okay, so that's that one. Let me just get something to wipe my hands with. And here we have one that's dried. Right, I'm going to get rid of all my little papers, and I'm now looking for my stencils. There you are. And the stencil brush, we've got that. Right. Before we start with that layout, here's all our stencils. We've got stencils with script, with a brick, and with dots. And we're going to use all of them onto this small little canvas. But before we go on with that, we must do the heart. Can you see there's a green heart here? And there's letters. Can I show it to you? There you are. Okay. Before we do that, while we're busy with this one, we're now going to first paint our heart and paint our letters so that they can dry and then we can go on with the rest of the canvas here. So let me show you what I do with the heart. I use offcut pieces of scrapbook paper. We all have little bits and pieces of paper lying around, and it's good for the heart, to use quite a nice, thick and sturdy paper. So what I do is I take a pen or a pencil and let me show you here. I cut a little block of paper so that it will sort of fit into the middle of the canvas. And then I take a pencil and freehand, you draw up a heart. Doesn't need to be perfect. And if you go like this and this, it's fine. What you need to do is get a heart. I don't even do anything to these lines. I leave my lines there because it gives it character. Okay. And then you need to paint this in a green, because we are working on the green heart. For that, I use green acrylic paint. And again, I use it on a paper plate. So decide which green you like. I usually use more than one color. Decant the paint in your paper plate, like that. And a nice thin brush. I've got lots of brushes here. What you do is you paint your heart. I always paint it before I cut it out, because it's just so much easier. You can go over the edges and cut it straight, and you can reshape it while you're cutting out, but get the paint down onto the paper. And shade it a little bit. Put another color in there. It does not need to be perfect. And when you're finished with it, you put it aside to dry. Right. So what we've done is, we've done it. Our little heart is floating around somewhere here. But I'm going to show you now about stenciling, because what we're going to do is we are going to stencil on both our canvas and on our heart. There you are. We need stencil. Stencil. There you are. Do you know what a stencil brush is? A stencil brush is something that is flat at the top. And that is specifically designed so that you can get your paint onto your surface in not in lumps and bumps, but spreading it out evenly. It will follow the contour of your canvas. Okay, so love stencil brushes. You can get it at any good craft shop. And then stencils. What I want to show you here is what we call a sticky stencil. Big problems usually with stencil is bleeding at the back of the stencil. It's not the stencil. I always say it's the person that's stenciling that's got the problem. But let me give you the tip, and this is so true. The 99% of the time, it's too much paint on your brush. Little paint and will go a long way in any stencil. But what we do with a stencil that's not sticky at the back is we spray it with aerosol glue. But what we have now is a sticky stencil. Can you see? There's glue at the back. But with chalk paint, what I find is that this is usually a little bit too sticky. So what I suggest you do is you take a towel, put it down. Can we show it? And press it down onto the towel. And lift it up, feel it. If it's still too sticky, do it 2 or 3 times. All you want to do is just kill a little bit of this extreme stickiness at the back. Because chalk paint is soft, it will lift your paint. Okay. I'm going to do it with all 3 stencils, but let's start stenciling, and I want to do it in black paint. So I'm going to move my black paint into view. The background, I like these dots, they're beautiful, and what I do is I pick up some paint on my brush. I want to show you the technique of stenciling. I've got the acrylic paint, and I'm picking up some of it on a brush. And can you see there's not a lot of paint there? And then I'm also going to dry it. You see, I'm taking off 90% of the paint, and I'm laying down my stencil. And I'm stenciling wherever I feel like. Can you see? It's beautiful, and it didn't bleed because we've got the sticky part adhering to the canvas, and I do it all over, on the edges, on the corners. And if I want a little bit there, I do it there. Oops, there you've got it. Already stenciled. Nice, we've got one. You have to let this dry, because if you do anything over this wet paint, it will just smudge. So we'll put it aside and show you the one that's already dry, like that. I'm going to put my stencil back onto the backing paper. Remember, I tore it off. This is the backing paper. It comes in 2 parts. And this is a reusable stencil. What you must do is put it back on the white paper, and then take a wet wipe. Yeah, I've got a wet wipe, and just clean it. And I can promise you, in my workshop, where we give lots of workshops and classes, we use these stencils, and eventually the stickiness goes. Can you see what happened there? So I just have to clean that as well. If the stickiness is worn off over months, all you do is turn it around and give it a spray with spray adhesive, and you'll have a sticky stencil again. So we'll put this one there. This is our already dry stencil, but we must go back to our heart. So when the heart is dry, what you do is you cut it out. We've got a question here about what paper you could use. I take it that it's a question about the background. Of course, you can use newspaper. It's not a problem. You can use tissue paper. You can use serviettes. I love serviettes. Serviettes is the most beautiful thing to decoupage with. Magazines. You can really, just ordinary printed stuff. Scrapbook paper. The sky is the limit with what you can use. Okay, there's our little heart. It looks very boring to me, so I'm going to do something to this heart. And I've got all these stencils, so why not use that? Again, it's very sticky, so and it's a brand new stencil, so I'm going to lie it down here and get rid of a little bit of the stickiness. And then I'm going to give the heart a background of a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So again, we pick up our paint and dry it off a little bit and stencil it. Okay, ladies, what I want you to see is that this is not perfect. Can I show it to you? Will it be in focus? Yes, there it is. It's just there as a hint of little bit of, let me show it. Can you see there? Okay. It's script. You can't read it. It's not clear, but it's beautiful and it does something. I also have a little, okay, can I show you there? Stencil of bricks, and I want to use that on the heart as well. So the same process, tear it off and use it on your heart. Wait, sorry, I don't want to tear my heart, so I must get rid of the stickiness. The stencils is available online at our website and our online shop, www.strawberrypatchsa.co.za, and you can get all the stencils there and much more. Look at that beautiful heart. It now says something. It's not just a flat heart. So there you are, heart done. I'm going to put that aside because it needs to dry, but we've got a dried one somewhere. Here you are. Can you see that the one that I made now and this one is not even remotely the same shape? It's perfect. It doesn't need to be the same shape. Try and get all 4 hearts a different shape, a fat one and a thin one, and whatever your hand does, it's great. Just go for it. So now what we've got is we've got the stenciled canvas, we've got the heart that's painted, and we are now going to to stick the heart down like that. And I'm going to use gel medium again. Again, this is the gel medium, and exactly, yeah, this is, oh yes, we've got a question that says, is it available online? Not everything, but what we do have is kits for every single project that we did this morning. So if you contact me, you can order a kit online. That's it. Okay, so online kits available from Monday onwards. Just contact me on my contact details. Okay, thank you. So let's stick this one down. Again, I'm covering the whole canvas with gel medium. And what I want you to see is that the black stencil in the background, because it's dry, it's definitely not going to smudge. And that's what's so nice about the acrylic. So you put your heart on wherever you want it on that canvas, and again cover it, and you must cover the sides as well so that you know everything is sealed. So once that's dry, we will have this. The heart will be dry and ready to go. Now, there's one thing that I forgot to tell you, and that is that you have to paint your words. I'm sorry about that. The hour seems like it's flown. Oh, it's too short, but there you are. I'm going to show you that you will get, in your kit, you will get 4 words like this. Can I put it? This is the life. And here in my little bag is the hope that I painted at home. It's easy. It's just a case of taking your acrylic paint and, no, this is joy. Where's my hope? Sorry, ladies, let me just find my, I've got no idea where the hope is. Oh, I found it. There you are. Sorry about that. This was done at home in acrylic paint. So you've got your hope that you must stick on there. Perfect. But if you look at this, let me just clean up a little bit. You can see this needs something. It needs more love. Okay, so the love that I'm going to put on it is I want to give this more definition. And what I use, and I love absolutely, I'm one of many people that love Faber-Castell. So if I show it to you like that, and I show you the finished one, if you look at the background of the heart in the back, can you see what we did? Is we give it a little bit more definition with a black Faber-Castell pit pen. Or if you don't have a pit pen, you can do it with paint as well, and your finger. This is the best tool that the Lord has given us. Okay, so use it. This is a Faber-Castell pit pen. I think you learned all about it last week. So Here we go. It's a permanent ink, but it gives you about 2 to 5 seconds to smudge. So what you do is you draw it around the heart and smudge it with your finger. Can you see? Don't go the whole heart because then it's dry. You won't be able to smudge it. And you make it as dark. I just color it in and smudge, smudge. I always think, especially in a mixed media project, that the black lines and the definition that you put in later or at the last stage is what gives it that little bit of depth and extra. So this, you go on with this until you're happy with it. And you can even, if you've got other Faber-Castell gelatos. Oh, I love gelatos. You can even use that to put a little bit of background on the canvas itself. I just love it. I think, let's see. Yes, there's a question that says, can I use a photo of a heart? Of course you can. It's your project. If you've got, you can even use a wooden heart. You can use, if you've got a crocheted heart. Yes, so listen, I think the sky's the limit. Use whatever you've got handy, follow the technique sort of, but play and make sure that you enjoy it and that you're happy with your end. Okay, now the last thing, once you've done I've only done the one half of the heart because time is running out, ladies. So all you need to do now is stick your word on. And what I do it with is I've got a nice super glue. This is a very nice super glue. This is available, I'll put it on the shop and then you can buy this from me, because watch out for your fingers. It is super glue. You don't want to sit there for the rest of the weekend trying to get your finger off this word. But there you are. What I do is I put it down. I don't get anywhere near my fingers, but it adheres immediately. So there you are. Block your note. There you are. Okay, and if you're at home and you've got more time, you'll put a ruler there and make sure that it's in one line. Don't have time for that, but there you are. I have the hope down on the canvas. Little bit of background. Let me turn it around for you. Can you see it? No. Ah, there you are. There's the last step. I enjoyed it. I hope when you've got time to sit down and gather all the things that you need, please enjoy it and let me know and send me some photographs. I would love to hear from you. And if there's any questions, I don't think we've got time to answer it now, we'll see, but at a later stage, I will answer your questions. So please just go on and enjoy, because that's what it's all about. I say this is my happy place. May this also be your happy place.
So my Christmas gifts are sorted. Thank you so much, Trudy, for all the great ideas. I hope this session assisted with ideas for your own Christmas gifting this year. If you want to watch the session again, this webinar will be available to watch on demand on the HobbyX website and Facebook page from next week. If we did not get to your question today, as I know Trudy answered a couple of questions as she went along, we will share the answers with you soon. We have one more webinar lined up for this year. It's also Christmas themed and it's promised to be extremely decadent. The webinar will be with Ray from Crystal Candy on the 5th of December. More info to follow this coming week. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And remember to visit HobbyX from the 29th of April to the 2nd of May 2021 at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit and International Convention Center to attend more of these interactive sessions and meet Trudy face to face. We will catch you again on the 5th of December. Goodbye.